All right. We got a special guest in the building. That's right. Premium guest. Premium Prem in the building. Zeteo Premium.
How we doing, baby?
What's good? All right. Prem Thakker in the building. Everybody. He's here visiting from DC. Instead of harassing congresspersons in the halls of the Capitol, he's here instead taking notes all day. He's doing a day in the life for Zeteo. So
I think
what's your honest assessment so far? Because you've been with me since last night. You got looped into. You got to also get close to the microphone, but you got looped into doing a Q&A last night at the event that we were at. What's been? I mean, you've seen up close at least parts of my day in the life.
I think, well, first off, I think it's important that we acknowledge that your fit is actually totally fine today. I know at the beginning of this.
Thank you. There was a lot of people talking shit. Yeah.
No, it's pretty good. And he doesn't even need to stand. I know he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
Which is okay. And I also think people in the chat should drop their favorite Hasan fits.
That should not do that.
You know, let's gas you up a little bit.
No, they're not going to do that. They're gonna do not that. They're gonna send all the bad fits.
Yeah. Well, okay. I mean, obviously, you guys will have to read the profile when it comes out. But I think one thing that sticks out very much is just, and I was getting at this with you earlier, is your stamina to do all this is crazy. And I think one thing that you were talking about earlier was, you know, the amount of scrutiny you're under for 21,000 hours of your life.
Yeah.
To react to everything that all of your people that are listening to have to deal with as well. I think some would imagine it's surprising you don't react even more strongly to some of the things. But I mean, I don't want to give out too much. I'll just say people should read it. It'll come out soon, and you'll get, I think, a really good behind the scenes of what goes on in this guy's mind.
So is it a scale of 1 to 10? How anti-Semitic is he? It's like about an 11.
I mean, we should ask Felix Biederman. It sounds like he has strong opinions on this.
Yeah, he's mad that I'm not
explain
anti-Semitic.
this.
Well, he always says that. He says that I talk about anti-Semitism too much.
He thinks you're overcompensating.
Well, he thinks is like he just gets annoyed. He's like, you don't have to do that all the time. But you know, I think that there's a different standard. He also is just jealous.
Yeah.
That nobody ever
He's
calls
not
him
on
an
the list.
anti-Semite. Yeah, he's trying. He's trying quite a bit.
ADL hasn't had him on, or the StopAntisemitism.org hasn't had him on the top 10 list with this Rachel.
Never.
He's gunning for it though.
He's gunning for it. He's been trying so actively and aggressively to get on the list, but he's just not. They're not putting him on the list.
Yeah.
So,
do you? I mean, you asked me like what I think. Obviously, there's a lot of people writing about you. Do you feel like you self-perceive when people are covering you and profiling you and things like that? Or is it just a habit now?
No. I mean, I've done this like 1,000 times at this point. So it's just that I just do the same thing that I would be doing anyway.
Yeah.
Whether there's someone writing notes or not, especially because there's 30,000 people watching everything that I do anyway.
Right.
So it doesn't change the dynamic when there's one additional person in the room.
Yeah. Watching
from afar, taking notes.
Yeah. What was it like when you first started streaming?
It was tough. It was difficult to manage the chat, but I didn't have like as big of a profile, obviously.
Right.
And there was like 35 people, watching while I played Fortnite with Felix and Noah Colwyn. And I strapped on a camera to a PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4, I think. And that's how I started doing it. So it was very different. It was a very different situation. But I don't know. I don't see like a major difference in my style and in the way that I manage my community from 3,000 people to 10,000 people to 30,000 people. And in certain instances, even like when there's 300,000 people in here on major events, not much changes from my perspective.
Yeah. What about your psyche? I mean, obviously you did the Young Turks and stuff like that, but you went from streaming to 35 people to 30,000 people. And as you said, 21,000 hours of doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you've thought about maybe, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm sure, but like,
What, thought about quitting?
no. Well, I mean, we'll get into that too. but-
Retiring? No, I haven't.
No, but I mean, in terms of like your psyche, let's say, like
I don't know. I
just your mental.
I don't think about it at all because I've been through like way worse instances. And what actually, in my experience, what actually bothers me the most is like moments where, you know, like I go to Nevada and Bernie Sanders wins, and then there's a lot of hope for a better future, and then, you know, Super Tuesday happens. Like that is infinitely more crushing for me than you know, anything else. Like I don't really care about you know, people smearing me. I've had to withstand that for years.
Yeah.
So I'm used to it.
You were saying earlier on the stream, and some people might remember this, when you said, like, some people would say, like, how are you not? I mean, I think you said something like, how have you not been killed? How have you not ended it all? Because of kind of just like the amount of insanity.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you put it that way?
I mean, that's just what people that experience all of this, they think it's crazy to keep up with all of it. And that's usually the treatment or the first reaction that I get. But I don't know. I just don't have any, I don't think about it like that at all. Like I don't have any issues with what I do, because at the end of the day, I feel like this is a successful mode of communication, and I'm capable of building a community. I feel like I do have an impact, and what I do has meaning. So, slowly but surely, I feel like I'm advancing the goals I've set out for myself. So I just keep trucking, you know?
One thing I was thinking about.
I'm very mission focused.
Yeah. What do you think the mission is?
Hopefully, you know, changing American politics and therefore the world in some meaningful way, in a better direction.
Earlier, obviously, you were responding to one thing, which is, well, actually, responding to other people responding to, like the CNN segments about you. You know, the Jam Boys were talking about it. Shout out that show; they're really great. I've been wondering a lot about this, and I'm curious what you think. Over the past few weeks, I feel like this dynamic that I think people in our ecosystem, whether it's streamers or journalists, we're navigating this thing where, like, you're trying to talk to a bunch of people across the country, maybe across the world. You're trying to instill your values or like poke them, prod them, whatever you're trying to do. But you're trying to connect with a lot of people. And it feels like oftentimes you or our friends or colleagues, whatever, are like responding to everyone but that. Like in our media ecosystem, so much of the outlets will focus on you or your comments or things that are so removed from the things that you're often focusing on. And it, like, the whole media circus just ends up being focused on you or like other things within the media. And it feels like there's just like a divergence in like, well, where you're speaking to people and we're kind of just speaking to each other.
We saw a version of that with the campus protests, with the student encampments, right? Where American media was not responsive to the violence that we were participating in, and our moral culpability, and instead hyper-focused on like campus mania, because a lot of the people in media came from those schools, you know, like Ivy Leagues, Columbia, and the like, and they were laser focused on the feelings of, or even the perceived feelings of certain groups, people who were pro-Israel, and that's what drove discourse. And I think it's partially because we're deeply selfish. We're deeply selfish people, and partially because the purpose of mainstream media is never to like dig deep and offer analysis, but instead to engage with these sorts of distractions, oftentimes to successfully disparage the movement, to not have that conversation about why these kids are out there protesting, what they're protesting for, and instead focus on how they're protesting, or even worse, how that makes other people feel. And it's the same principle with the last 2 weeks of Democrats need to disavow Hassan discourse. It's even sillier than the previous round of disparaging a movement by lying and smearing the students that are engaging in an immoral act that we will probably reflect back on positively many, many years down the line. But this one's even sillier because like this has direct impact on people's lives. Let's say the genocide that was happening in Gaza did not have an immediate impact in your life. So the only way that you can associate with the story was through the drama of how college campus students were making other people feel. But in this circumstance, we are directly impacted. Our military's out there, our tax dollars are being wasted, and yet you still see this incredibly silly conversation take place over and over again. And I do think that the average American has the capacity to see through it, especially because most people now want to talk about Israel. Most people now want to talk about why we're blowing up Iran rather than the statements made by a Twitch streamer.
Obviously, your comments do have a lot of import, and I think, offline, you and I will talk more about things that you've said and whatnot. But how does it feel that so much of the political apparatus, the American mainstream media, members of Congress, focus so much on something that you say, a streamer? Like at a basic level.
It's just, we're silly people. We're a bunch of silly bitches in America. That's what it is. I mean, it's totally ridiculous, right? I feel like this is not how a serious country operates. I mean, it's also like the whole conversation around like civility is also incredibly stupid because Donald Trump has won 2 elections at this point, and he was never civil at all. He was very direct with his language. So the fact that the Democrats are trying to limit themselves and the way that they communicate for no real reason whatsoever, or perhaps even for more nefarious purpose, the ulterior motive there is because they simply don't want to have that conversation at all, is ridiculous. I think what matters most to regular Americans are what your values are and not how they try to disparage what you represent in 17-second increments. I stream for 10 hours. I don't stream for 17 seconds. No one communicates in 17 seconds. It's a totally ridiculous standard to apply to people, and you only do that in order to disparage the messenger because you can't actually hear the message. You don't want to hear the message. You don't want to have a conversation about the message.
Who do you think you are? And when I ask that, I mean, like, in years past, wherever you got into streaming for whatever reason, you started streaming, you were in the Young Turks, you did all these things. Years later, you're who you are now. There's so much media focus on you for all these reasons you just mentioned. When you see yourself, like, what do you think you're doing? Like, do you see yourself as a streamer? Do you see yourself as something more, as a commentator, as a political operator? Because, you're going to these public events now. You're going on campaign stumps. Who do you think you are?
I'm a political commentator. That's what I say. That's what I've been saying for years, even when I was, not as well known, and that's who I still am. That's how I see myself, at least. Someone who is just a regular person, who's been profoundly successful, because I was endlessly fortunate. I was super lucky. And I don't take this position for granted, and I try to do the most with it. The position of influence that I found myself in. Try to do the most with what I have.
Yeah. Before I keep asking you a bunch of questions and chatting at you, I want to make sure how much time you got. How much time do we got?
Well, I was going to end it here, and then we can do the actual interview.
Yeah.
But, thank you for coming on, Prem.
Thank you, man. And thanks, chatters, for saying hello.
He sounds a little bit like Daily Dose of the Internet, right? Yeah, we were watching Alex Jones' video, but I'll be live tomorrow, everybody, to make sense of this crazy world. Yes, Prem Thakker of Zeteo, political correspondent at Zeteo. Prem, what do you want to promote?
Well, yeah, Zeteo. You can, oh, golly gee, sorry. You can find us at zeteo.com. We're one of the few media outlets, I think, that are doing the kind of news coverage that you guys deserve. You can find me on Instagram, Prem, Thakk, and Twitter, Prem Thakker. And again, that's Thakker. But otherwise, don't be strangers, guys. I appreciate you, and see you on the flip side.
All right.